Australia. And hi, Europe. I know you guys feel left out, but have you noticed I never mention Africa, never mention Asia, never mention Eurasia. No one seems to complain about that. Never mention the Middle East. So just be thankful you're even getting a hello, okay? Hello, Europe. Okay, I have a lot of Europeans. I have more than I expected. Hello, Europe. Good afternoon. Oh, a dog has... yeah, I'm not streaming without you. Don't worry. I know he's in your bed. I know she wants to be there. But unfortunately, Ringo took the bed this time. I put you in my bed, Apple. She is so bossy, guys. You have no idea. She ordered everyone to bed tonight. What do you want me to do? I can't move him. Apple, enough with the attitude, please. We're trying to do the news. And people have things they need to know about. So you can just lie down on the floor. Sorry, guys. I literally put her in bed and she's decided to get up anyway. So, oh. Yes, girl, me. Oh. I love it. Amazing. Okay, yeah. Have you noticed they don't have collars on? And Apple's deaf. She actually needs a higher collar because I can't get her attention. Okay. Wow. Guys, that's beautiful. Okay. Hello. Welcome to the news. We're covering the news today. A lot of what we are covering is to do with America today. I'm sorry. America's falling apart. And we do have to... Okay, don't lick. That's annoying. I can't tap him with my foot because of that weird guy who wants to see my feet so bad. Okay, so we're doing the news. A lot of it will be America today. Obviously, there is news happening in other parts of the world, but what can we do? Okay, today we're sponsored by the Peach Monster. Okay, the Australian social media law. So for those of you who don't know, the Australian government has banned children from being on social media. So you have to be a certain age to be on social media. And I can go through that and talk about the implications on both sides, etc., etc. But the big thing for me is my nephew Will, who is 11, comments on all of my TikToks, and that's important engagement, which I rely on, and I have lost that. So for me, I'm considering it an L because I'm sad because Will won't be able to comment on my things, but my niece blocked me on TikTok, so this is what she gets. That's the way the cookie crumbles. You're gonna block your auntie? Get off the entire platform, and get off all the other ones too while we're at it. That's what you get. I would have defended you, but you blocked me. Cold as ice. And the thing is, not only did she block me, but she did it after I sent her a nice message about one of her TikToks. But just like, don't. This is my rule with Gen Alpha. Just pretend you don't exist. That's the only way to exist in their world. You have to act like you do not exist. Speaking of things that don't exist, the white rhinoceros has officially gone extinct. The last male white rhinoceros died. Now there are only 2 women left, and that's on you guys, not on me, because I never would have made them go extinct. But don't worry, I'm going to give you happy news. Get rid of dog cam for a second. Okay, bye doggies. Wait, maybe it's, where'd I put it? Here. Okay, check this out. More dogs. In happy news, okay, today in Argentina, they got together as many golden retrievers as possible to try and beat the world record for the most number of golden retrievers in a single spot. And for those of you who don't know, well, that's not a golden retriever, that's an owner of a golden retriever. But for those of you who don't know, golden retrievers are good boys, almost unanimously. They're never bad boys. Look at this good boy wearing a hat. Sometimes they are naughty boys, but a naughty boy is in its heart a good boy, okay? So this is very exciting. Argentina doing things right for once. That actually, now that I'm seeing the drone footage, doesn't look like a lot of golden retrievers. Something that really annoys me at dog events is when the dog-human ratio is totally off. This happened to me at the New York Dog Parade. Too many humans to dogs. Oh, that is a good boy. That is a good boy. Okay, so just wanted to let you guys know about the good boys. Now you've seen it. Now we've done that. I'm glad we could go over that because thank you so much. You want to see the dogs? Just futuresque. I'm going to bring my dogs back, who are fat sausages. They are on diet food. It doesn't seem to help. You've really made that work, though. It's kind of incredible. Thank you so much for subbing. It means a lot. Look, wait, how do I point? Now I'm at 15 out of 50. This is my goal for 6 weeks, guys. But that makes me happy because 15 sounds like 50, so thank you. Okay, so the news today, not good. First of all, a lot of you would have watched my media consolidation video. Any of you who are paying attention to that know that also overnight, Paramount tried to put in a hostile bid for Warner Brothers. That means they're trying to bypass the board and go straight to the shareholders. Because if we're being honest about something, Warner Brothers actually does not need to sell. Okay, they're doing it to increase their shareholder value. So there's a fiduciary duty, but any bid on Warner Brothers will be illegal. It will be. That doesn't mean it won't go through, but it will be illegal. I'm thinking about doing a video on this. Well, I know I'm going to do a video on this. I'm going to do a quick turnaround. So it's going to be like shittier quality video in terms of what it looks like, but the content will be good because I think we really need to go over this. I really want to talk to Matt Stoller. I don't know if I'm a big enough deal to get anyone to talk to me. But I'm going to do a deal. I am going to do a video on the creation of state media in America, and I'm going to try and get Matt Stoller. He writes a lot about antitrust work and about monopolies, so it would be great to be able to talk to him. But if not, you should still go and read his work anyway. He has a Substack newsletter called Big, but he's a really good person to read on this sort of stuff. Hopefully I will get the video done maybe tomorrow. I need to get my hair done because the hardest part about being blonde politics is actually the blonde part. It's the most expensive part. It's the most difficult to maintain. It takes the longest. So I will be needing to do that, but hopefully don't let Netflix get their hands on... I totally am with you. Why is it Professor? But the problem is we don't really want Paramount getting their hands on it either. We don't want the Ellison family getting their hands on it either. I think, as I said the other day, what I think is going to happen is they're going to pretend, they're going to be like, oh, it's too big. It's too big, so you'll have to split it up and you'll have to sell half. You'll have to sell Discovery to Paramount and you'll have to sell Warner Brothers to Netflix, which is the worst of all worlds. But the only good option is that Warner Brothers sells to no one and stays independent. In my opinion, that's the only option we should be pushing for. It's a huge problem. Speaking of huge problems, boy, do we have some huge problems today. Oh, something I wanted to show you. Apple is snoring. Can you hear it? Let me know if you can hear it. It is a self-inflicted. Well, originally I was going to go with bimbo politics, but then I was like, I don't like that. That feels like it's going to backfire. Can you hear the dog snoring? So yeah, it is self-inflicted. I'm spiritually blonde, so even if I went brunette, I'd still be blonde where it matters in my soul. I want to show you something as well, guys. It is officially 1 year anniversary of the fall of the Assad regime, and I prepare for these streams, as you know. I put in the work, and hang on. Something I found, which I think you'll like. So I was trying to look up information on, you know, where Bashar al-Assad is at, etc., etc. And all I found was this Twitter account that has been editing photos of him so it looks like he got a BBL. Just a nice little, oh, you like that one? What do you think of this one? So, to celebrate 1 year of this loser being gone, here is BBL Bashar, okay? BBL. Gabby! Hi! Long time no see. Thank you so much for the sub. Thank you, Gabby. Long time no see. Yeah, so in celebration of the fall of one of the cruelest regimes that I can think of, we have BBL Bashar. Okay. Now we need to get to actual news. So, isn't that pretty? That's the North Sea. Don't look at my chat, you guys. Don't look. Look at me. Don't look at my chat. Look at me. Don't look at my chat. Look at my dogs. Okay. You can hear the dogs. Sorry. Guys, there's nothing I can do about it. Okay. So, things we have to go into today. See, how's it only been 10 minutes and we've gone through BBL Bashar, golden retrievers, all sorts of stuff. I'm not a good streamer. I don't know how to pull things out anymore. Hey, Sonu. It's the browner one. She's the one snoring. The deaf one who can't hear it. I am the one who made the courtesy oven video. My media video will be good too. Okay, guys, we need to talk. We need to talk. Let me just get my stuff up. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the national security strategy that got released. Have you guys heard about this? Any yeses in the chat? National security. It happened. I wouldn't be surprised if you missed it because they snuck it in right before the FIFA draw. And are you both going to make noise? Seriously? I'll kick you out. Thank you. You. Can we skip to the good news? We totally would if there was any good news. Which there isn't. Okay, so we are... Oh, we also discussed me being blocked by my niece. Okay, we are discussing the national security strategy, the Trump national security strategy of 2026. And it is bad, guys. It is... Oh, did I download it so we can look at it? We'll look at it in a second. I'll find it in a second. But for now, let me just tell you about it. This is basically, how do I explain this? Divorce papers between the United States of America and Europe. That's how I read these. It's like happy 80, 90 years of marriage. And now it seems that America has eyes for another, namely Russia, which is bad. You know when people break up and you immediately see someone with someone else? And you're like, okay, clearly this has been happening for a while. That is what is happening here. Trump's America has been banging Russia on the side, something we all suspected, but now we have confirmation. And it is crazy because things before that would have been said silently or implied, this document is just like, hey, we're happy to say this out loud. Yeah, totally bringing back the Monroe document. I read two things at once. Very much Monroe doctrine. Yeah, I'm going to do a video on the state media. Tomorrow I'm going to film it. Okay, so they dropped it a couple of minutes before the World Cup draw in order to distract us. Let me just give you a very brief overview. So this is the national security strategy. This is what's in it, okay? Very broadly, and we can look through it, but very broadly, it declares that Russia is no longer a threat. It praises Russia and Russia's desire for peace. It accuses European countries of being undemocratic, unstable, and suppressing the opposition. It names the far-right movements in those countries, like the AfD and Orban's party in Hungary, as the political movements that it now publicly supports. It condemns Romania for removing their Russian-backed, Russian-funded president. It also instructs Europe to cultivate resistance to Europe's current trajectory, meaning literally they're just saying elect far-right nationalists. And it says, hang on, Apple, that's ridiculous. This is very serious. Sorry, guys. So yeah. And it calls for, hang on, let me look at this. It calls for ending the perception and preventing the reality of NATO as a perpetually expanding alliance. So it literally is saying we're going to kill NATO. And like, okay, I haven't always been the biggest fan of NATO because how it has been used in some nefarious ways, but this is nuts. This is actually a crazy document. It says that America will no longer defend democratic values. It calls for the United States to end the hostilities in Ukraine in order to stabilize European economies and reestablish strategic stability with Russia, which, by the way, is not the language of an ally, right? If you're like, oh, we need to bring back stability, we need to end this issue in Ukraine because, you know, we need to get Russia back on a stable footing and get economies back on a stable footing. You're not going to mention that Russia is the problem? You're not going to mention, why does this sound like you're taking a belligerent, like, foreign force and trying to whitewash them and, like, reintegrate them? Yeah, sorry, I should be putting a chat on screen, but I don't like it when the chat is on screen. Apple, I will put you in the bedroom. Guys, the snoring is very distracting for me. Is it distracting for you? Because I will take her and put her to bed. It's crazy. She knows when I've got her on. She knows. She's like, oh, I'm going to quiet now so everyone thinks you're insane. Okay. It's not deep dreams. It's sleep apnea because she's overweight. Okay. So, yeah, this is not the words of an ally who's saying, hey, we're going to, like, when they're like, America's going to negotiate an end to the hostilities in Ukraine, that's not them saying, we're going to do it because Russia did the wrong thing and we're going to step in. They're saying it like, it's time for us to all let Russia play with us again. It's, oh, you know what it is? It's that same thing of like, you know how I said when people cheat and then you have the same friend group and then the guy who cheated brings the girl he cheated with into the friend group and is like, guys, please stop being mean to Alicia. Like, do it for me. Please stop being mean to Alicia. I know you guys love Ukraine, but like, Ukraine's fine. Please stop being mean to Alicia. No. No. Shut the fuck up. No one wants to hear your opinion. No. Okay. So, oh, and this is so good. You'll love this, guys. They also put in there an explicit call for the United States to intervene inside EU member states by cultivating resistance. This is in the document. Like, it's said. It's not implied. It is said. Meaning that the US, just like Russia, is now committed itself to destabilizing Europe from within, using American resources in order to elevate the nationalist parties that are aligned to Trump and aligned to Russia. This is exactly what Russia has been doing in Europe and Eurasia and the new states of Eurasia for years. They do oligarchs, cutouts, they do money laundering, they do financing, they do covert operations, and now America is literally just saying, yeah, we're going to use our tax money to do that also, because we think that is a good idea. So cultivate resistance to Europe's current trajectory within European nations. And celebrate the growing influence of patriotic European parties. Well, what is a patriotic European party, do you think? Because the way it's kind of talked about is like Marine Le Pen and the far-right nationalists in France and the AfD in Germany. This is crazy. America is literally saying our new role in Europe is going to be to finance nationalists, to overthrow your liberal democracy and destroy the European Union. So crazy. And you know what's even, okay, beyond it being crazy that America's like, yeah, we're going to use all of our power, our financial power, military power, diplomatic power, intelligence, to undermine you guys and to put in the political parties we want. And the political parties we want, by the way, are the crazy ones. The thing that is crazy to me is the context that all of this is happening in. So we know that America is giving a big fuck you to Ukraine because, first of all, there's been no military support by the US for Ukraine at all this year. The 28-point peace plan was literally basically written by Russia. And this is what is crazy. Okay, the strategy was released 2 days after Kushner and Witkoff went to Moscow to have their 5-hour meeting with Putin. A 5-hour meeting, by the way, that Putin was late for. He makes people wait. It's a big part of the thing that he does, right? He loves to assert dominance by being like, oh, I'm going to be late, okay? And then, sorry, sometimes I read chat and I'm like agreeing. You know when you text someone back, but not actually, you just do it in your head? Sometimes that's me, but with chat, I'm like reading and I'm like, yeah. But then I just go silent. But yeah, so Putin likes to be late so he can be like, oh yeah, I'm the one in charge. But that's not the only, also I think my eyeliner is expired. That's not the only thing that he did. One day before this new strategic security plan was released, Trump also lifted all the sanctions on Lukoil, one of the major Russian oil firms. At the same time that this was happening, Russian drones were spotted over France, flying over their like super important nuclear submarine base. Zelensky was going to Ireland where, and they didn't cover this in the media, Russian drones attempted to assassinate him. They were lined up on the plane approach path, but Zelensky, thinking, oh shit, I might get assassinated, got his plane to land earlier than scheduled. So he didn't get, but there were drones on the entire approachway. So Witkoff and Kushner are in Russia. getting stood up by Putin and waiting around for Putin so they can discuss peace, right? And apparently in this discussion, it actually wasn't about peace. It was mostly about business deals that they could do. Also, Putin gave an hour lecture on the history of Russia and how Russia is traditionally part of Ukraine and technically belongs to Ukraine, blah, 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 blah. We had it this many years ago. It's ours. Ukraine technically means mother, blah, blah. He gave his, Putin loves telling the history of Russia and Ukraine. You can find it. Type in Putin history Ukraine and it's all written there. So he gives them this big lecture. Then they do a bunch of business deals, which is what this is essentially about. It's about carving up Europe, basically, definitely Ukraine, definitely reestablishing business deals. But this was essentially a business meeting. While they're at this business meeting, Russia is literally spying on France and trying to kill Zelensky in Ireland. Okay. But this is my fucking favorite part, okay? This to me is just like, the only other person who does this, and I'm sorry to bring him up, he's not the only other person, but he's the other person I can think of who has done this recently, and that is Netanyahu. It's this power play where they wait until you're in their country to do something naughty while you're there, so that they can be like, that's how little we respect you. We're going to do it right here, right now, while you're here, so that everyone knows we don't give a fuck about you guys. So what they did is there is an American Marine, okay? His name is Robert Gilman, and they extended his sentence while Witkoff and Kushner were in Moscow. So that makes it very clear that it is Putin, not Trump, who is in control of the relationship. He was arrested in 2022. It's basically just a political hostage case, which is what Russia do all the time. But it's just showing. It's like, I have the upper hand. As you're walking out of the Kremlin, I'm going to say that I'm going to keep your guy even longer. And it's just so crazy. Now, it's not, can you please? Apple is not concerned by this at all. She thinks this is so chill. Okay, but it's not chill. Okay, and let me explain. It was already clear that America was going this way. It was already, thank you, Nathan. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's been, everyone's kind of like, Trump has said he doesn't want to be in NATO. It's all been very clear. Everyone's been upset. But this is like full on abandon. This is insane, okay? And there have been other things that have made it clear that it was going to kind of go this way, in terms of like, a lot of the statements at the same time have been saying things like obviously we've seen Trump be like, you guys need to start pulling your weight with NATO, but obviously it's been clear that he wants out of NATO. That's basically been what he has been saying this entire time. Also, at the same time, and I didn't see many people cover this either, but America pulled all of its America pulled all of its troops out of Romania, which is another kind of like frontline area. October 30th, around the beginning of like November 1st, pulled all the troops out. Then in this document have got mad at Romania. Marco Rubio didn't go to the NATO meeting. There was an important NATO meeting. He did not go, which has not been done by the US in decades, just for the US not to show up. On top of that, obviously, Europe was completely cut out of the peace negotiations for Ukraine. You've got Christopher Landau, the Deputy Secretary of State, getting mad at Europeans for bullying US defense firms, but also attacking NATO and saying, and he deleted this, he put up a post on X saying that NATO was a solution in search of a problem, and then he had to delete it. But like, this is insane that you have members of the government saying this, skipping things. Apparently Marco Rubio was like, by 2027, you guys need to be militarily ready to go alone. the EU put these like they fined Elon Musk for violating the Digital Services Act, which is a content moderation law for all of Europe. And Musk was like, you guys are woke Stacys, because that's totally a cool way to talk. This is one of my... This is one of those things where, like, it's cool for me to do it, right? If I want to talk about geopolitics and be like, you guys, like, they're getting a divorce and now America's trying to make us all accept Russia, but fuck Russia. Russia's the other woman. We don't want to... The thing is, if I were the Deputy Secretary of State, or if I were the richest man on the planet and I had a de facto member in government, do you think I would be talking like that? No, because I'm not an idiot. I wouldn't be tweeting at all because I'm an adult. I do it here because it's entertaining. I don't tweet at foreign countries and call them Stacys because I'm not an insane person. Big stretch. Big stretch. Say bye, Ringo. Like, this man, he's so obsessed with being cool, but it's like his view of being cool is he's stuck at 15. Like, he is genuinely trying to appeal to 20-year-olds. It's like, what are you? You are an adult. Please act like an adult. Morning, Frog. So, yeah, you've got Elon Musk being like, the EU are woke Stacys, and then vowing retribution. I've never vowed retribution in my life. And that feels like a me thing to do. But the Groypers staffing is doing damage for real. For real. Apple, I'm going to give you some privacy for a minute. For real. That's my problem, though, is that, like, the youth... Elon's not even up with the youth culture, because the Groypers and the people that he's kind of in are now kind of on the out, which is very strange. He's stuck at whatever age he was when his dad had a kid with his stepsister. I don't think 15-year-olds are... Do you know, like... John says, I don't know if 15-year-olds are impressed by this. Here is the truth. And I told you about my niece and nephew, who are teenagers. There is no one harder to impress than a 15-year-old. And the easiest way to not impress a 15-year-old is to try and impress a 15-year-old. They will clock you so fast. 6'7". I actually freaking love 6'7". But I can do that with you guys. If I did that in front of my niece and nephew, I would be unk. Okay? Which does not stand for uncle, but uncool. This is something new that I've learnt. But I could go into depth about why this rocks. But we won't, because we're focused on serious news. Elon Musk being a loser on the global stage. Okay. Yeah, I don't have the inherent vindictive soul required to evoke a vow of retribution. I don't wake up and think, today I want to give anime villain. Never. Anime star, Sailor Moon, maybe. But not villain. Yeah, so he got in trouble for violating this Digital Service Act. Vows retribution, very cool. He's like, the EU should be abolished and sovereignty returned to individual countries so that governments can do a better job representing their people. And then he put a nice hashtag, abolish the EU, which would be totally funny and fine. We could all laugh at him if a day later this strategy wasn't put out, which was literally like, we're going to start helping people to abolish the EU. We don't want that to exist anymore. It's so bad, guys. What the fuck? Joe Lonsdale, he's the guy in charge of Palantir, also raging about the EU. Like, this is the same thing when I was doing my, when I did my now deleted stream on the fractures within the right wing. We cannot forget as well. I know she's kind of, out of vogue, I know she's, you know, persona non grata right now. But when I was covering the right wing, I was like, what's Candace's problem with France? But these people they really fucking hate Europe. All of them. Monster, Peachy Keen. The only monster I've ever had. The only monster I will ever have. Okay, guys. Hell yeah, just one more sip. Yeah, it's because France and Europe, or anyone that's democratic, they're like, we hate you guys. New defense bill going through Congress would block the Pentagon from reducing troops in Europe for 45 days until Hegseth or the US Euro can certify to Congress why, and that NATO is told. Interesting. They get 5 weeks paid vacation for any full-time job, and if that gets taken away, they burn Paris. Burn it down! I do love that about the French. I think Candace has some sort of religious problem with them ever since the Olympics. But, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, if you're wondering, Europe noticed. So Der Spiegel, which is a German paper, they got leaked notes from this high-level call between Macron, Olaf Scholz, the German Chancellor, the Finnish President Alexander Stubb, Mark Rutte, and Zelensky. And apparently it was nuts. Apparently Macron was saying that this was a betrayal, that he was, you know, using these like very emotional, very Macron-esque. Did anyone see, the movie itself wasn't amazing as a whole because the concept didn't have quite enough legs to hold the entire movie. What was it called? It had Cate Blanchett in it. Rumors. There's this movie called Rumors, and it's about like a cop, except every character who's representing their country is like meant to be a representation of the country. It's the first hour is very funny. It goes completely off the rails, but it is a very funny movie. I believe it's on Netflix, so you can watch it there. But yes, this has been noticed by the Europeans. Macron, very upset, called it a betrayal. Hi, Fals. He got really upset. Not only did he call it a betrayal, but he was saying to Zelensky, don't trust Washington. They're going to make you surrender Ukraine. Like, they're going to make you surrender territory. They're not going to offer you any security guarantees. Scholz said the same. He was like, the United States is playing games with you. They're playing games with us. Stubb said that you, like, is it Stubb or Stubb? He said you cannot be alone in a room with Kushner or the other envoy. You're not allowed to be alone with them because it's not just an issue of them pressuring you into an agreement that's not fair. They were saying to Zelensky, your actual safety is at risk. So Europe is very much aware of what's happening. Scholz. According to Der Spiegel, it's Scholz. Okay, well, my information is wrong because my information here says Scholz. But if you guys say it's Merz, then I'm willing to agree. Okay? Because that's what you're here for, to do immediate fact-checking. Could be Scholz, could be Merz. Yeah, but this is crazy when you think that these have been our like strongest allies. Well, sorry, Australia has been your strongest ally forever. But let's just pretend that Europe is for a minute. Europe's been a pretty good ally. Okay. So the European leaders, as well as like getting Zelensky and being like, you were going to be bullied. The Germany, France, United Kingdom, Poland, Italy, they have formed what they're calling the Alliance of the Willing. Now they're also calling it the Five. And they're basically they're going to build up their military. But as someone said in the chat earlier, a scary realization that comes along with that is what's going to happen when all of these countries are building up their military and then America is literally saying we are going to be doing everything in our power to support the nationalist parties within your countries to take power. So like Germany also recognizes their position. They're like changing their infrastructure because they understand their key position as like an industrial hub. So it's like they're going to put in all this work to change their infrastructure, build up their armies, and then America's going to try and put the AFD in. Not good. Yeah. So now they're calling themselves the Five. They did like a press conference, the Coalition of the Willing, but they did a press conference like yesterday. Hey, Philip, thank you for following. Okay. I was going to talk about I don't think it... Okay, here's the thing. So, let me Fed post for a second. Sorry, guys. It's a very dangerous thing to do given what I'm about to talk about. But just for 1 second, you know how I gave you that pop culture prediction where I was like, Kim Kardashian is going to get a Neuralink? Maybe some of you don't. But I think the reason that Kim Kardashian's failing the bar on purpose. And I think that when she got that brain scan that said her frontal lobe wasn't working correctly, it's all a setup for her becoming a Neuralink ambassador. And originally I was like, yeah, it's so everyone will get a Neuralink. But now I think that they're probably putting Neuralinks in people's heads. God, no, I sound so crazy. But what if I'm right? Then I get that this is one of my constant problems. It's like the satisfaction of saying something insane and then being proven right is such a good feeling. It may actually be my favorite feeling, even when the news is very bad. But then when you say something crazy and you're wrong, everyone's like, don't listen to her, she's nuts. Listen, there's a possibility, because a bunch of new establishments have popped up to do with Neuralink, and they're hiring a bunch of brain surgeons, but we don't know who's getting these in. And people are going missing from detention centers. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think Neuralink ambassador. I don't think that Kim is there to convince you to get a Neuralink. You can't afford a Neuralink, okay? But she is there to normalize the Neuralink and make it appear safe and good, so when news comes out that people were having Neuralinks put in their heads against their will, they need to scale up, Greg. They said they need to scale up. Elon said he needs to scale up to over 1,000 people being tested by the end of 2026. He's at 17. So, anyway, that's a crazy thing that I said. I acknowledge it's crazy. Don't look at me. Look at my dog. Don't look at me, look at my dog. Forget everything I just said. Okay? Forget all the crazy things I just said. It's all going to be fine. Anyway, back to the serious news. That was just a little silly moment. We just had a little silly moment, okay? Unless it comes true, you're so right. And if it comes true, bookmark this stream, because I told you. Okay? I told you. Heard it here first. Okay, so the FBI have started a... Uh-oh. The FBI got leaked that they've made an extremist list. Yay! We love lists. We love putting people on lists. There was a National Security Presidential Memorandum 7 that came out after We Are Charlie Kirk was killed. Where it was like, let's focus on domestic terrorists. I never ever like it when a government starts to focus on domestic terrorism, personally. Because what does it mean? What does it mean? I always get very concerned when we start looking at domestic terrorism. Anytime language is used to say, hey, you know all that intelligence stuff we have, you know, the military, you know all of that, we came up with a reason to use it against you. I don't like that. I do not like that. Sam, I am. Do not like green eggs. And the US doesn't even have a domestic terrorist distinction. The world doesn't even have a terrorism distinction. But do you want to hear what they're saying counts as a domestic terrorist? You're going to love it, okay? Because don't you worry, okay? Spoiler alert, if you're not MAGA, you're a terrorist, basically, okay? So just keep that in mind. But there is actually, I know you were worried. You were like, what? America doesn't even have a definition for domestic terrorism. Don't worry. There's actually a section titled Defining the Domestic Terrorist Threat, in which they say that this is what makes a domestic terrorist. You ready? Extreme viewpoints on immigration. Little vague there. Radical gender ideology. And anti-American sentiment. These are all indicators that federal law enforcement are instructed to refer to the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force. So let me repeat that. If you have extreme viewpoints on immigration, and for something tells me that being like build a wall at the border isn't an extreme viewpoint to these people. Something tells me that's not what they mean. Okay? Radical gender ideology. Something tells me that's not biological essentialism to these people. Something tells me they're picturing something a little different. An anti-American sentiment, which K-Step is anti-capitalist, of course. Let me just wipe my eye. So, don't even think Antifa. Don't even think. Don't even watch one battle after another. Do not watch things. Don't do any. They're gonna be like, you're a terrorist because you got pronouns in your email sign off. Thank you, Faith. I'm trying to distract from how bad my roots are. Shout out to my gender terrorists. Yeah, so just so you know, so if you do one of those things, you will be referred to the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Forces. Okay. Those Joint Terrorism Task Forces have then been instructed to use all available investigative tools in order to map the full network of culpable actors involved. So not just you. If you have pronouns in your signature, your mum's going to prison for being a terrorist. Literally, they're just saying, oh, if you are left-wing, we're allowed to spy on you. That's what this memo says, which is so good. Oh, also, if you're wondering, the memo directs the FBI and the Joint Terrorism Task Forces to retroactively investigate incidents going back 5 years, and they're allowed to use everything they have at their disposal to do so. The national security memo thing, the "We are Charlie Kirk" presidential memo, that kind of set the tone for this. I was very worried. The day of the Kirk assassination, I was like, you know who wins today is the surveillance state, especially if they don't find the killer. But no matter what, this is going to be used as, we need to crack down. We should have seen this coming. So, yeah, big up for the surveillance state, I suppose. Okay, guys, we have more. How's everyone doing? Let's just take a moment. We have the bad news of the National Security Strategy paper. We have the bad news of the new domestic terrorism watch lists. And I have more. We have the bad news of media consolidation, but I can't go through that right now because I'm going to make a video, probably tomorrow. But if you have questions about it, I can answer your questions. Unfortunately, America's cooked. The problem I am having, we are Charlie Kirk. I don't know the rest of it. It's just that one little riff I got going on. Here's the thing about America being cooked. I'm not worried now. I am worried now. What concerns me is that, and this is especially true with the thing I'm about to tell you about next as well, but it's true with just everything we've talked about so far, everything that's happening, and it's true just with everything that's happening. Donald Trump is entertaining, and because he's entertaining, people see him as less threatening. And he's so entertaining that he creates a spectacle. So people look for him, and they look at him, and they're like, oh, but it's so funny. It's so funny what he said. Like, I want to hate him, but that was funny what he said. So we're all kind of like too entertained to properly push back. By we all, I just mean, like, this is just the truth that I don't, like, I'm not talking about you, but I'm kind of talking about you because I'm kind of talking about me. But people will be like, oh my God, unfortunately, another absolute banger from Donald Trump. So the problem is, people are entertained, they're distracted by the spectacle of Trump, and they're not taking things seriously. Trump will not live out this entire term, or if he does, I don't know how I feel about those free and fair elections in 2028, Fred. I don't think they're going to be all that free. I don't think that they're going to be all that fair. And what concerns me is how the structures, the institutions are being changed now. Because, like, okay, I don't think JD Vance or Marco Rubio could change institutions in the same way because they're not likable. I know that Donald Trump's not likable, so I need you to, like, do the work for me to help me out here in terms of, like, they're risless, okay? Like him, hate him, some of the worst people alive. The reason that they're able to be successful and the worst people alive is because they have riz, right? They have this charisma. Thank you for sending me money, Nathan. I almost used my foot before, but you weren't here, so I didn't. But thank you for that. So because he has charisma, people let him get away with more. And so if JD Vance were trying to do this with Russia right now, people would be like, whoa, who do you think you are? Okay. And, like, it wouldn't work in the same way that it is kind of working. Now we are seeing this kind of like soft secession at a state level where, to an extent, people who have like, Gavin Newsom has similar levels of riz, right? So he's standing up to Donald Trump. He's like, whoa, but he's got this like, that's why I did the MAGA magic stuff, because it's like this charisma, this effect that it's like he can charm people. And what I worry about is that a country would put tariffs on eyeliner and he'd fold immediately. Okay, so the specific example is actually what I'm going to go into now, which is, I think the US leaves NATO before the end of 2026, first of all, just to answer your question, Fred. But the example I want to go into is the Supreme Court has been hearing the oral arguments for the Rebecca Slaughter case, which is the chick. Put some respect on her name, Joanna. Sorry, my brain. I'm trying to like do it at this time, but it is 1 a.m. here. Okay, so the oral arguments happened yesterday for the Slaughter case, and Rebecca Slaughter is a federal trade commissioner. So the federal trade commissioners are not meant to be able to be fired without cause. They're independent. Okay. Now let me just get this thing. I wrote a little thing up for you guys. Earlier in the year, I was like, Humphrey's executor is going to be so important. We need to know about it. And people made me feel like I was overreacting, so I let it go. But it's good because now I know kind of what I'm talking about and I'm ready to tell you guys about it. I just got to find my little documents. I'm never on this computer, and then I save things and I don't know where they are. You guys just have to wait. Sorry. While you're waiting, let me sing for you. We are Charlie Cook. My eyeliner is stinging my eye. Oh my gosh, hang on, let me just find it on here. If you leave NATO, China will swallow you in one day. China will swallow who? I think France and China literally just had a meeting. JD never has problems with his eyeliner. Yeah, eyeliner, I'm not gonna lie. I am one of those people who's like, I'm gonna keep my makeup for 11 years. Okay. And then it hurts me, and then I'm like, why? Okay, so. Okay, so here's the thing. You are not meant to be able to sack people from federal independent agencies without cause. They are meant to be independent, meaning the president should not be able to sack them. This is decided in a case from 1935 called Humphrey's Executor, which creates the precedent from where independent agencies are protected from presidential control. Trump's already tried to fire multiple people from the FTC, so the Federal Trade Commission, the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, the EEOC, the Consumer Product Safety Commission. So he's just trying to fire frickin' everyone, okay? Yeah. So now to just like give you a little... So Humphrey's Executor is the name of the case. So your quick little rundown. 1935, FDR tried to fire the Federal Trade Commissioner for political reasons, okay? Because he wanted someone who would do more what he said. The court said, you can't do that. Sorry. you have to have a cause. You cannot remove members from these commissions without cause, because that's the way Congress structured them. Then they carved out this legal niche for independent agencies. So multi-member commissions that have a bipartisan balance, they have staggered terms, and they have removal protection. So if you look at a lot of these commissions, they have bipartisan membership, and this protection, this bipartisan nature, and these staggered terms gives them the credibility that they are not political. They are apolitical experts. They are put in there to be experts in that area. Now, of course, there are varying degrees to which that is true, but that is what is supposed to happen. There have been things since. So, I mean, I don't know if there's much point in me running through cases with you. But basically, the president has to tolerate Congress's chosen insulation of commissioners. But this is to stop there from being like one powerful dictator. So if Humphrey's executor is overturned by the Supreme Court, so if that president, so this Rebecca Slaughter case, if it is found that Trump was allowed to fire her without any cause, that will overturn the precedent in Humphrey's executor. And that means that the president can fire any officer he appoints for any reason unless explicitly protected by the Constitution. So who's explicitly protected by the Constitution? Judges, okay? Independent commissions, though, they will lose their independence overnight. So that is the FTC, the SEC, the FCC, so the Federal Trade Commission, the Securities Exchange Commission, the Federal Communication Commission, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the Energy Commission, the Labor Relations Board. Hang on. I think you're ignorant. I am one of the most educated individuals in Europe. You lack a grasp of the intersection of three religions. Power isn't just a system. Power is a relationship. And most of these weren't established in the modern era. I don't know what that means, but thank you for your comment. Okay, so all of these independent agencies are independent for a reason. Now, I know what you're worried about. You're thinking immediately, oh my God, the Fed. Oh my God. The Federal Reserve. Smart thinking. Now, not quite. The Fed's independence is statutory, not constitutional. So its governors have four core protections that are built on top of Humphrey's. They're modeled on Humphrey's, but they're extra. That doesn't mean that those things can't be overturned, because there's another case coming up where that might be overturned. Wait, I've got another great... Guys, listen to this one. Who cares about your dumb blonde opinion? British airhead doesn't know jack about the US Constitution. Well, guess what, Captain Trips? I'm Australian, and I'm not really blonde. So, but basically something that you need to consider is the president can put in people, which means that he'll be able to reshape monetary policy, he'll be able to reshape financial regulations, labor law, telecommunications policy. Telecommunications, think about how important that is in this current moment with not just the setting up of a state media, but data centers, AI, telecommunications policy, antitrust stuff as well, by the way. He can just fire the boards of everything and put all his people in there. So this is basically, you know, when you hear people talking about the unitary executive theory, that every executive branch action belongs to the president, this is that. This is a tilt towards that. So Congress loses their ability to create these kind of insulated, protected expert bodies. Judicial review becomes the only check on presidential capture. And I don't know if you've been paying attention, but judicial review hasn't been working out so hot recently. Judicial review hasn't been doing it for me, hasn't been doing it for America. So I don't like that being the only thing left. And the other problem is, you think the economy and shit is bad now, stability is going to completely collapse. Regulatory stability, every time there's a new president, policy can just flip. So under one presidency, certain things are allowed. Next presidency, it's totally different. And you know who doesn't like that? The fucking market. The fucking market hate that. And this is even true when it comes to the Fed, right? Now, the Fed is special because the Fed has its own thing going on, but technically, I think if you got rid of Humphreys, then they could get rid of Jerome Powell immediately. The thing is, politicized monetary policy, not good. Banana Republic shit. Because if you have a president who's just like, yeah, let's go interest rates right before my election so I can be like, look how good the economy is. No. I think, and like, I'm not a lawyer. Did you guys know that? Did you guys know I'm not a lawyer? I know it's hard to believe because I could be, but I'm not. What kind of lawyer would I be? So many different kinds. What would I do? It's hard to think what I'd do. I think I'd be like Gloria Allred or Johnny Cochran. I think I'd just take big celebrity cases where I could be like, my client, look at all the evidence that the prosecution has against my client. I think that's the only, because when I think about like doing nice person law, so like human rights law and environment law, I just immediately get sad because I'm like, everything's gonna suck. So I'd just rather be like a bougie ass like public interest lawyer. I want to do class actions. Okay, sorry, got distracted. The point of me saying I'm not a lawyer is to say, here's what I think will happen with the Supreme Court. No, it is affected by Humphrey's executor, Avocadorable. It is. I'm sorry. I have already said that it has its own statutory coverage. But what I think will happen is I think that the Supreme Court will create a carve-out that the Fed is sui generis, but that will be doctrinally completely inconsistent. They'll do what they've been doing so far, which is like they will create some weird workaround that doesn't make any sense if you actually look at the precedent and how it stands, but they will just be like, oh, this is a special with the presidential powers where they were like, they have to be like official. It'll be like that. I think that the administrative state will survive. The Fed might survive, but it won't be independent. There'll be no independent expertise. I truly believe that the court will not want to get rid of the independence of the Fed because they know what it'll do to the market. But tat on my right arm is a lyric from the song Joey by Blonde Concrete. Yeah, hang on. Let me go through some of the oral arguments because they said more in them. Okay. Sorry, let me just get to... Okay, so Elena Kagan, what did she say? Hang on. So the solicitor... No, stop that. Stop. My notes. I prepare. I'm also trying to get, like, when I need to... Okay. I understand how the Fed works. I understand that the Fed is different to the other independent agencies. I am telling you, when you say that Humphrey's executor being overturned has absolutely no impact on the Fed, that is just incorrect. I am more than willing to say that the court is not going to want to overturn the independence of the Fed, and I have already conceded that it is a completely different issue to the FTC and the FCC and the SEC. I understand that they are separate, but it is not true, in my opinion, and I'm confident enough to repeat my opinion, that this case and how a number of these cases that are going before the Supreme Court are going to go have any effect on the Fed, because it does. It just does. Okay, so Kagan... Is happening. I'm also trying to get comfortable being quiet when I need to work something out, and understand that sometimes there's allowed to be dead air in a stream because it's a stream. Okay, so I already went through it. Rewind. I already went through it, and I'll go through it again. Just wait. I look adorable. I feel like you come in here every stream and you, like, nitpick on, like, in the same way that you were like, what were you saying? You were like, what's his face is the right-wing candidate in Honduras. Not that person. It's like, I look it up. I'm not, like, just making it up. Okay, sorry. I'm not meaning to be rude to you, because you've been around since, like, for 5 years. I know you're not meaning to. I just feel like recently, every time I talk, you're like, that's wrong. And it's annoying me. Okay? I'm a human being. I get annoyed. Okay, so the Solicitor General, his name's John Sauer. I don't know how Americans say that shit. Okay? But the Solicitor General, he's making the arguments for the Trump administration, right? And towards the end of his arguments, Elena Kagan, so she is the Democratic, like one of the Democratic nominated judges, one of the more left-wing judges. I'm adorable. I don't do well when people disagree with me. Okay? I'm just a girl. And I like you to agree with me. Okay? And I know that what you're saying is, explain it to me and then maybe I'll agree with you. But no, just agree with me. Just do it immediately. Or just wait. Disagree with me at the end. Okay. So Elena Kagan, at the end of the Solicitor General, so Sal, whatever his name is, she was like, the real world reality of the argument to overturn the precedent, given all of the laws that have passed since 1935, under the belief that such firings could be limited, would be a president with control over everything, including over the lawmaking that is happening in this country. So, like, something I noticed in the oral arguments was that the Democratic, or like the more liberal justices, were going out of their way to, knowing, based on the makeup of the court, it's going through, right? Humphrey's executor will be overturned. So the only thing that the liberal justices can do is make it extremely clear what the consequences of this is. So the interesting thing for me in watching the oral arguments, watching all of this, was that the three liberal justices are like we need to make sure that the public know the implications, because who the fuck cares about Humphrey's executor, right? It's like, we need to make sure the public knows the extreme implications of the Trump administration's argument that the president should be able to fire whoever he wants for any reason that he wants. And the crazy thing is to think about the fact that on reality TV, Donald Trump's thing was like, you're fired. That was his whole job. But there is literally no way that this isn't going through. So the only thing that the liberal justices can do is kind of be like, I want to make this so clear what you are doing. So Sotomayor said to Sawyer, I don't know how to say his name. She's like, you are asking us to destroy the structure of the government. She literally said that. She said, you are asking us to destroy the structure of the government. And by the way, this Solicitor General was obviously, as is the case with everything, previously one of Trump's personal lawyers. Because you should just do that, I think. And she asked him, she said, where else have we so fundamentally altered the structure of the government? And Soros couldn't point to anything, okay? So the liberal justices seem to be making a huge point of trying to make this a big deal. So Kagan was saying as well, sorry, I'm just trying to go through Kagan said, if you take your logic at face value, it includes a great many things. Once you're down this road, it's a little bit hard to see how you stop, which is one of the reasons. So a lot of what Kagan was saying and Sotomayor was saying implied to me that it's like, this could be a situation where you are putting the Fed. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying Sotomayor. No, not Sawyer. No. So Sawyer, Sauer, is the Solicitor General representing the Trump administration. Okay? Sotomayor is the liberal justice. That's why it's confusing. So I don't know how to say Sauer. I don't know how an American would say. To me, that's Sawyer. But I just want to be clear that I don't know how you guys would say it. Did you miss the Formula One update? Listen. You did. I learned a lot about Formula Sod. Like sowed. Soya. Soyd. Sod. Soya. The Formula One update is that I learned a lot about Formula One only to watch the last race. And I also learned all of this stuff about this thing called drag something. But then apparently it's not going to be in any future Formula One. So I learned all of this stuff for one race that no longer applies anymore. Oh yeah, the you know what I love? Okay, sorry. Faith just said quickly, I watched the whole Formula One race, just so you know. Also, I think Lando Norris is gay. Heard it here first. I know he's got a girlfriend. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. That's my new big update. But I think he did deserve to win. The drag reduction system. Yeah, I learned about this DRS only to find out that we're not doing it anymore. So I learned about it for one race. Also, Limbo, just to show you how advanced I am, I did learn about blocking, like the method of blocking people. So there was a discussion about whether or not whether Max V was going to block to force the McLaren team to pick between Oscar and Lando, but that didn't happen. Anyway, just quickly, Faith asked about Erica Kirk's gender washing interview in New York about the career women in government. I do want to go through that because I have noticed as well. I was talked about this when I was talking about Tradwife content with Pixel Smixel, which is like, if I tell you women belong in the kitchen, you're going to be like, hey, that's patriarchy, don't say that. But if I say the divine feminine and the soft female energy is best in low stress environments like the home, where we can really focus on our nurturing instincts and our ability to really step into our power, and and provide in ways that we're naturally more inclined to do. It's like this weird new way that, like, this is my soft girl era. I'm just like, and it's so crazy. It's like, and it kind of also interweaves with this, like, this weird thing I've been like, in the same way that I now know everything about looks maxing from the boys. So recessed infras, recessed maxilla, Itachi lines, gotta do my neck curls. Yeah, I know all about this from the boys. On the girl side, even things like cortisol face, where it's like, my cortisol was so high because I was so stressed because I was trying to work a job. And you have to realize, once I just relaxed and stopped worrying about being successful and just hung out, once I just sat around making myself look pretty, I became pretty. Because once I just relaxed, all the cortisol left my body and I became the woman I've always wanted to be. Because as women, we actually can't be stressed because it's going to make our faces fat. Very strange rebranding going on of a lot of things. And also, Faith, the attacking of these bullshit jobs, right? Think for a minute, these bullshit jobs. Who works these bullshit jobs that they're so upset about? Where they're like, cute black tank and a mini. Cute black tank and a mini. They have no object permanence, so they see women doing something fun and they assume that women never work, and all women have ever done is sing that little song and make that little piece of content, and so that's their entire job, right? Obviously that's all they're doing. It's a bullshit job that needs to be cancelled, but like trying to cut out these like office jobs is literally, just say it. Women have to go home. Women have to go home. Go home and have a baby because you're not going to get a job. Okay, sorry. Back to what we were discussing, which was the Supreme Court. Big zag. Sometimes you got to zag. Sometimes you got to zag. Let me just show you Apple. She's still there. She's sleeping, okay? Sour. Okay, thank you. Sour. She my little snoozy goosey. Okay. I'm worried about birthright citizenship too, but the reason I'm worried about this kind of institutional change is, as I said, I'm worried that there's going to be actual changes to the structure of government that is going to happen while we're not paying attention. And then when someone like JD Vance comes into power, he is going to massively abuse that. No, but she's a single mum CEO, Faith. That's not her choice. Someone killed her husband. If she could be in her divine feminine and be in the kitchen, that's where she would be. You have to understand, conservative women, they always want to tell you that, oh, well, I know I'm here advocating and working, and I know it looks like I enjoy this. I know it looks like I actually love being an independent woman who has my voice heard, but I'm just advocating for women. If I had my choice, I'd be at home with my children. All I want to do is be with my children. In fact, all I want to do is go and make more children, because I need to have a quiver full of children, and I need to expand, make some good, beautiful American children. Yeah, poor Pearl. Not poor Pearl, but poor Pearl. Imagine being Pearl, It's so, I really, okay guys, I know the movie industry is dead, but I have a movie that I am writing, and it's about a right-wing commentator, a woman. And now it's never going to be made because it's never going to be made. Well, yeah, white, but also Naira Smith is not white. And she tradwifes real well. She Mormon tradwifes real well. But Erica Kirk doesn't want to pay another woman to look after her children. You have to understand. She wants to look after her children. Yeah, but anyway, I have a movie about these exact kinds of women. I'd love to make it, but unfortunately you guys killed the film industry. So you'll never get to see my movie. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a playwright who my backup job was doing a PhD because I'm stupid. Who does that? Who's like, you know what? This is a really unstable career path. I'm gonna be an academic. Erica Kirk, who was also on Summer House, a reality TV show. Okay. Back to the Supreme Court. Guys, it's getting easier to stream. We're almost at 2 hours and I'm not like, I'm gonna kill myself. I'm so proud of us. Okay. So Kagan points to Article 1, courts. Okay. Protections provided for inferior officers and civil service laws protecting federal employees across the governments, right? And when Sauer, as we're now calling him, repeatedly said the Trump administration isn't challenging that, Kagan pressed him and said, I know what you don't challenge. You're missing the point. Okay, so hang on. Alito followed up asking about how the Supreme Court could distinguish non-Article 3 courts, so tax courts, courts of claim, courts of appeal for the armed forces. And Kagan came in again and said, once you use this particular kind of argument to justify one thing, you can't turn back on that. That kind of argument also justifies another thing in the same way. Putting a footnote in, an opinion saying, we don't decide X, Y, and Z because it's not before us doesn't do much good if the entire logic of the opinion drives you there, which is what I'm trying to say about the Fed, right? Because Kagan keeps saying this, she kept saying it throughout the whole thing, which is the logic is in here, right? So even if you're trying to say, oh, no, we're not dealing with that. We're not dealing with the Fed. We're not dealing with the Article 1 courts. We're not dealing with the Article 3 courts. We're only focusing specifically on these independent agencies. Kagan and a lot of the liberal justices are saying, yeah, but once you extend this legal logic and you make it precedent, why on earth would it apply here but not apply here? Why on earth wouldn't someone challenge over here because the logic is the same? How are you going to say that the logic is different? Right? No, you did not get ads there. Oh my God. Oh my God. Avocadorable. I was saying, I'll try. So Kagan was saying, once you make this legal I understand that you are trying to say this doesn't apply to Article 1 courts, this doesn't apply to Article 3 courts. I'm very clear on what you're saying this doesn't apply to. But once you put this legal logic forward, if we accept that legal logic, why wouldn't it apply? Why wouldn't it apply across these other things? How do you stop it from applying? If a case comes before and it is about Article 1, Article 3, the Fed, why wouldn't this legal logic apply in those cases? Because it clearly does. The legal logic you were implementing does apply over here. You can't just put a footnote in and say, oh, we're not deciding on that, and therefore it doesn't apply, because the legal logic is consistent across the cases. Obviously this isn't the first time that this has been challenged, like Humphrey's executor. I think that there was some stuff to do with the Financial Protection Bureau. But this is because Slaughter's lawyer, Amit, I can't remember his last name, said that the court has never held that Congress couldn't choose to include removal protections limiting the president's ability to fire members of a multi-member bipartisan commission like with the FTC. Can we please stop talking about where the puck is going and focus on where it is currently? What do you mean? I don't understand. Yeah, he's obviously trying to take over. It's not just taking over the Fed, though. It is this unitary executive theory. It's getting rid of any independent agency that he can't tell them what to do. It is creating a king. So Clarence Thomas, Brett Kavanaugh, and Alito, they're obviously pushing back on the liberal justices. Oh my God, you cheat. I don't even know. Yeah, I told you. I am going to be streaming 8 hours a day. You're not going to be able to get rid of me. Once I get comfortable putting clips up, it's over for all of you, okay? I looked at the Discord server today. I will open it up. I need to work out some people that I trust enough to mod it, because I don't have the technical ability at all on Discord. I don't want to get into a situation like I had before. So once I find some people who are willing to mod for me and that I trust, then I'll look at opening up the Discord server. But thank you for all the bits. I do really appreciate it. And guys, I will never shill for money, but I do want you to know that I'm doing a personal 6-week challenge to get me back into streaming. And I have this little goal here, 50 subbies in 6 weeks. I think that's very fair. And we're in week 2, so we're making great progress. So just keep that in mind, that in the next 6 weeks, if I could just get 50 subs, I'd feel really good. Okay. Yes. Okay. Oh no. Let me just get my thing back. How did I lose where I was up to? We are Charlie Kirk. That's what you get. Okay. You became a member! Oh my God, thank you so much. I don't actually, Fred, I don't know how to make those count toward that, but thank you. I'm going to write it down somewhere. Thank you for becoming a member. I don't talk to other streamers because you can't trust these bitches. And once you talk to other streamers, you become an orbiter. I'm not an orbiter. I'm the sun, baby. People want to jump on and talk to me, they can jump on and talk to me. I don't talk to other bitches. Okay. So Clarence Thomas, Brett Kavanaugh, Alito, they're trying to push back against the justices. They're trying to challenge the logic of the argument. Thomas asked about single-member agencies. Kavanaugh asked whether Congress could convert cabinet agencies like the Commerce Department or the Environmental Protection Agency and others into multi-member agencies, which Alito picked up on. So there was a lot of like back and forthing about this sort of like, it's all the back and forthing, to be honest with you, it kind of doesn't really matter because it's going to go through. I hate to tell you that, but it is just going to go through. But Sal was basically saying, actually, every president before this, they've got it all wrong. And Humphrey's executor, you'll see, if you type in Humphrey's executor to Twitter, it's just a bunch of conservatives being like, this is a outlier, it's a headless fourth branch, it's not accountable, this is all about getting democratic accountability, and that's what this is all about. The executive branch means that the president will actually be accountable and there's no independent agencies that aren't accountable for anything. Jackson was like looking at constitutional structure and was noting Congress's power to create federal agencies and determine their structure, in contrast to the fact that the Constitution doesn't speak specifically to the president's power to remove. She was like, okay, so the Constitution may not talk about, what did she say? Hang on, let me find it. She said, I'm trying to understand why you think that the Congress is somehow less democratically accountable for the way in which it constructs these agencies and determines the term of office of the officers, Jackson asked Sawyer. Okay, why would the president need to control everything? Because that's the argument. That is the argument that is being made by Sawyer, whatever his name is, and the Trump administration. The president should control everything. That should make you worried. We don't want this. Okay? And the thing is, when she was like, why should the president control everything? He wasn't even like, that's not what's trying to happen. That's not what we're trying to do. What did he say? He said, hang on, I've got some of the transcripts here. He said, Congress has a broad authority in structuring the federal government, but what it lacks the authority to do is to create these headless agencies who have no boss and are not answerable to the voters, he told her. But then, Jackson said, having a president come in and fire all of the scientists and the doctors and the economists and the PhDs and replace them with loyalists and people who don't know anything, because that's not actually in the best interest of the citizens of the United States. And they had a little fight. Okay, they went back and forth about it a little bit. And then Sawyer responded that Congress cannot violate the separation of powers and threaten all of our liberties in the way that it structures the government and has done so here. So, this is just about unitary executive theory. They just want to make the president control everything. And this will pass because this is the problem with judicial review at the moment. This is the problem with the courts being the stop at the moment, is that they don't have any interest in being the stop. You just can say goodbye to the independence of these key bodies, right? So because you've got a 6-3 split on the court. So you've got the 3 liberal justices just being like, given that we can't stop this, no, but this is the president, this is what avocadorable, this is what this case is about. Can the president fire an FTC commissioner without cause? That is what the Rebecca Slaughter case is about. And Sawyer is arguing that yes, he can. The main question that's kind of left is, what will be the legal rationale that they'll use? Because that is basically what will determine this, exactly what Kagan was saying about like the footnoting, right? You can't just use a logic. Your legal rationale will apply to other things. So are you creating a rationale that can apply to other things and will create a situation where the Fed will be at risk, where other things will be at risk, right? And John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett asked questions that suggested that they were trying to come up with a legal rationale that would stop this from happening, which makes me feel slightly better about the Fed, right? So they were like, Roberts was focusing on function, like how can certain cases, and thank you, Sam, for subbing, thank you. Is there a way that certain areas of the government won't be affected if Humphrey's executor is overturned? And Barrett focused on what executive authority would be involved, like the vesting clause, the take care clause, the appointment clause, like what are the different... what are the limits that could be built into the option? How do we build a way to overturn and allow this, but limit it so that the Fed won't be affected, basically? And Sawyer, whatever you want to call him. It's a stupid name. There should be a legal limit on how many vowels you're allowed in a row in a name. Sauer is a death trap for an Australian. There is absolutely no way for me to know how to say that in any kind of understandable way. I don't like it. Get some fucking consonants, you nerd. Yeah, but Sour, or whatever we want to call him, wouldn't say that a future challenge wouldn't try to take things further. He wouldn't like give any kind of guarantees or anything like that. And when the independence of Article 1 courts were being discussed, Sour told Sotomayor, as to the non-Article 3 courts, we haven't challenged the removal restriction as to non-Article 3 courts in this case. And Sotomayor was like, okay, not yet. But there was no answer to that. So it's like, and this isn't even the last case that's on the docket for the presidential removal powers. So, as has been said, the Fed is a special case because it has extra statutory protections based on Humphreys. But there is a case that's similar to this one, which is Lisa Cook as the governor of the Federal Reserve Board. And it felt like the court was suggesting that they might treat it differently. And then there's the case of Shira Perlmutter, who's from the Copyright Office. That is also different because the Copyright Office is technically part of the Library of Congress. And that case has literally just been put on hold. Like, they just said, we're not even deciding that until we decide the Slaughter and Cook cases. So there is no answer on that yet. But I think when you've got the liberal justices being like, hey, you're destroying everything. Just to make that clear, can I just put it on the record? You are literally destroying everything and you're trying to make sure that the president is in charge of all things, right? Can we just be clear about that? Do you have anything to say back to that? And the Solicitor General's being like, no, that's kind of right. That's not good. We shouldn't be happy. That should be very bad. We should be very concerned about that. Anyway, I'm not a lawyer. And I'm not a legal analyst. What I am an analyst of is bad vibes. And the vibes are bad, okay? The vibes are bad with the security document. Yes, I am the one who made the Dark Matter video. The vibes are bad with the Supreme Court and executive powers. The vibes are bad with the FBI watch list. The vibes are bad with media consolidation creating a weird state-based media. Things are bad. Can someone tell me something good? Is anything good happening in your town? Everyone's suspiciously quiet, which is what I'm worried about. Midterms are good, maybe. It seems like Trump's freaking out, but did you see that woman who was like, I've got a plan for the midterms. Donald Trump doesn't even know about it yet. Great. I think unlike the federal, but avocadabral, that's like what stresses me out, is that the liberal justices were going out of their way to be like, just to be clear, this logic kind of extends to everything, right? How do we stop the logic? And they're kind of like, well, it doesn't matter that you can't stop the logic because we're not really talking about that right now. Spanberger's gonna rock. Okay, I gotta look at this. I gotta look into the midterms. I hate how long your elections run though, guys. AlphaFold. I don't know what AlphaFold is. I'll look into that too. Thank you. Yeah, well, Daniel, I don't know if you were here earlier in the stream, but the national security strategy that Trump just released is literally him saying we are going to support authoritarian nationalist movements in European countries however we can. that's who we're going to support. So I would be a little stressed even if I were in Europe. Okay, Formica. I'm stupid. Let me just check my little docket to see if there was anything else I wanted to cover. The Ellison bid, the Paramount bid, everything's going to plan. I'm going to write up the script for the media consolidation tomorrow. I'll try and edit stuff as much as I can. But I also want to contact Matthew Stoller, so if I can get an interview with him, obviously I'll delay putting the video out so I can include that interview, but if I can't, then I'll just put it out. I do cover stuff like the recent coup in Benin. I did a big thing on all of the, like a year ago, on all of the recent coups that had happened in the Ivory Coast area and in the Sahel. But I haven't gone into African politics yet in my new year of streaming because I need to cover Sudan first probably. And I'm just working out how to do that in a way that feels appropriate. There is AlphaFold protein structure. No, so Warner Brothers Discovery owns CNN. So the Discovery part owns CNN. Netflix doesn't want to buy the Discovery part. This is what I'm concerned about. So Netflix doesn't have any interest in that. That is the only thing that I think Paramount has an interest in. And I don't even think it's necessarily because of CNN, even though Paramount is on the record. David Ellison is on the record saying, if I get control of CNN, I am willing to fire every reporter you don't like. He just said that to Trump. But even that doesn't concern me so much as the soft, informative content. So like literally Discovery Channel shit, right? Cooking shows, Dr. Phil, this like infotainment where you can very subtly put political agendas in and people don't feel like they're watching the news. So they're just picking up on your kind of political messaging. I don't know if you saw, there was that interview with Andrew Schultz where he's like, I'm not a reporter, guys. I'm just a comedian. So of course I let Trump talk about the Russia hoax because I'm not meant to know about that. My concern is that is the part of the media that the Ellisons want more than anything. That area where people can kind of talk politics without explicitly talking politics, so that people are just taking it in. It's washing over them without them even realizing it. The soft culture stuff, they're creating a culture machine. Sometimes the liberal justices are just ringing the alarm bell, but at the end of the day, what matters most are our norms rather than the particulars of the law. Yeah, exactly. So even if this decision doesn't affect the Fed, liberal justices are correct that if something happens to Powell, Trump shouldn't interfere with its independence, but he clearly would. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I truly believe what's going to happen, what should happen is Warner Brothers Discovery should stay independent. What will happen is something like, guys, you can't sell Warner Brothers and Discovery together, you have to break it up. And then Paramount will take Discovery and Warner Brothers will go to Netflix, the worst of all possible worlds. But yeah. There was something that Maha had to take back. The turn, you know, the spray, not turn around, turn about, turn it up. Holy fucking shit. Holy fucking shit. Thank you so much. Holy fucking shit, Nathan. What the fuck? Nathan? Listen. If you wanted to see feet... you could see feet for that. I'm at my 50, guys! I'm at my 67! Holy moly! Thank you so much, Nathan. No, that actually means so much. Thank you. I now feel awkward. I feel kind of like you gave me a present on Christmas and now you're watching me open it and I really like it, but I feel like no matter how much I react, the reaction is not going to be good enough. And I'm now, instead of just focused on like loving my gift, I'm like, oh my God, I have to react appropriately for Nathan so that he knows how much I appreciate that. But I really, really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. What just happened? I got 50 subs gifted to me by Nathan. Thank you so much. The only plot hole for me is that Warner Brothers Discovery was already planning on splitting Discovery back off, so why orchestrate that split through the regulators affecting the sale? Well, the thing is, as well as it's driving up the stock prices. I think it has been to drive up the stock price. All I know is that Paramount's going to get something. I think it stonks, but as I said, so Larry Ellison's net worth went up $5 billion the day the Netflix deal went through. And on top of that, he incorporated a Delaware corporation called Pinnacle Media, which is the thing that was created to buy when Skydance bought Paramount. So he's created another one, but only one, which suggests he's not buying the whole thing. So Paramount wants, I know. And they have the sovereign wealth funds from Saudi and the Emirates and Qatar. But the head of Netflix has said, we already were anticipating this. No, the answer's no. Something's going on. But the hostile bid was expected. But I know they're saying they want the whole thing, but I don't think they have only made one corporation. When they bought Paramount, they made 3. So I don't know what it is yet. But when I write it tomorrow, when I have 2 of these, well, I know they're going past the board. The thing is, none of this is legal. No one buying it is legal. Yeah, sorry, there he is. I should put my chat on stream. I've got a Twitch chat and a YouTube chat. We'll see. I'm going to have like 6 monsters tomorrow. I'm going to make a video. And then you can write in the comments of my video. And you'll be like, Qatar. Why do I pronounce Qatar correctly? درست اللغة العربية في جامعات لكن لا أتكلم فصحى فقط. That's why. Do you think I was pronouncing it that way because like when you go to a restaurant and you say, I'll have the pho? Oh, you know what? Just quickly to go back to F1, my new passion. Why do they call him Charles Leclerc? Alhamdulillah bikhair. Why do they call him Charles Leclerc? Sabah al-khair. Sabah al-khnur here. Why do they call him Charles Leclerc? Thank you, Daniel. He's a race car driver from France, but his name is Charles Leclerc. But they all call him Charles Leclerc, but they don't even say Charles Leclerc. Well, I lived in the Gulf. I lived in Oman, in Muscat, and then I lived in Abu Dhabi for a while. And my friends in Abu Dhabi, they said that if you're from Lebanon, you're a bit of a slut. I didn't say it. They said it. I didn't say it. They said it. I wouldn't mind if they were like Charles Leclerc, but they don't say Charles Leclerc. They just say Charles Leclerc. And that annoys me. I'm from Australia. Okay, guys. I feel like we covered a lot. What do you guys think? Can I go? Am I free? Nathan just made my life, so... No, I don't know any of the memes yet because I'm brand new to F1, okay? I watched one race. I only just learned that there are different kinds of tires. I studied Arabic in university, and I lived in Oman for my foreign exchange so that I could do a language intensive. I feel like we covered a lot. Oh, my masterful football coverage. I haven't done any football today, but here's what I learned. I heard back from my other nephew. So it turns out we're Liverpool fans. Now, he said to me, Arsenal's the best, so it's fine for you to go for Arsenal. But no, I am going to be going for Liverpool because that is... If that's my nephew's team, that's my team. And then I saw a headline that said something about Mo Salah, who I believe is a Liverpool person. So my football coverage is... And I'm nominated for a FIFA prize, a FIFA Peace Prize, because of my YouTube videos. Thank you for becoming a member. Chelsea wears blue. I love blue. But no, my team has to be Liverpool because my nephew plays soccer and he told me that he's going to compete in 5 World Cups and win 3 for Ireland and 2 for Australia. And I support that little man. I got to go for his team. I heard there was a problem with Mo Salah being benched, and I heard the guy say, yeah, I had to bench Mo Salah, but that's because I got a team full of Mo Salahs, and sometimes, the personal tariff today. What should the personal tariff be? Okay, I was going to make a TikTok about this, but I'll tell you guys. I hate it when you put something down, and people aren't picking it up, okay? But then later they pick it up, and they act like you didn't put it down. They act like they just stumbled across it. You put that down. They did not pick it up. And now they're like, oh my God, look what I found. You didn't find that. I put that down for you. And I explained why you should pick it up multiple times and you didn't. And now you're acting like I never even put it down. So there is a personal tariff of people who don't pick up what I put down and then pick it up and act like I never put it down. I put that shit down. And you know it. Don't act like you don't know it. Anyway. Do you know, okay, there was a very, very, very annoying time that happened. Actually, it happens to me all the time. There hasn't been one time. My next video is technically on climate change. It's actually on, well, originally it was on climate denial, but it's more looking at climate delay and the shift in climate denial that is occurring. But I also have a project on crypto, but I have some interviews that I'm trying to line up for that, which is why it's a little bit late. And I'm gonna do this video like tomorrow, over the next couple of days, on state media and media consolidation. But that one's not gonna be as nice, as pretty as my last video was. It was edited so nice, it was so pretty, but I have to get this one out fast. So it's gonna be less pretty, but it's gonna be, that's media consolidation, then climate change, then cryptocurrency. And it's not going to take me 9 months to put out one video, I promise. I've been picking up analyzing the Trump admin as astrology girls heavy. Yeah, Trump's a Gemini, isn't he? I'm unable to, okay, so computer nerd. I am currently an AEST. So it is currently 2 a.m. But the reason that I'm doing a midnight to 2 a.m. stream is because ultimately when I get back to New York, I would like to do the morning stream. I would like to do a stream from like 7 or 8 in the morning to midday eventually, because I will get to streaming 4 hours. But I would like to cover people getting ready for work, driving to work, having their morning coffee, getting into things. That is the time zone I would like to do. But we'll see. I also did a Sunday night stream, which was like a Sunday afternoon for me, and I liked that. But I think I'll keep that for that one day. Yeah. Alrighty, guys. I think it's bedtime for me because it's... Let me give you some... You don't want to snore? You don't want to snore for them? She knows. No one watches stream to get ready for work. You say that. You know who watches stream to get ready for work? This girl. You know what I want when I wake up first thing in the morning? I cannot get out of bed without company. I want to click on my phone and be like, who's here to talk me out of bed? Quantum computing probably is the natural crossover there, but can I tell you something? I know nothing about that. Avocadorable, how are you typing if you're driving around? Please be careful. Okay. Mwah. Thanks, Space Shot. Have a good day. Appreciate all of you. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. I'll be back on Thursday. And we're going to have a merry time. And it's all going to be great. And in the meantime, just have the best day. Just have